I give the floor to the distinguished representative of the Russian Federation.
Distinguished Chair, distinguished delegations of member states of the United Nations, we propose postponing adopting the program of work of the committee for the following reason. We are forced to once again highlight the buildup of problems which unfortunately remain unresolved regarding the functioning of our common disarmament mechanism. As you recall, in April, we were forced to block the work of the Disarmament Committee due to the relevant state authorities of the United States denying entry visas to the head of the Russian delegation. Just last week, due to the same kind of visa actions, the work of the Russian delegation threatened being jeopardized. The delegation headed by Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. And this for the high-level segment of the 74th session of the General Assembly. Moreover, at the same time, American authorities did not allow practically the entire delegation of the Russian Federation to participate in the 11th conference to assist the entry into force of the CTBT, pardon. Naturally, we could not leave that situation unaddressed and expressed a strong protest to the American Party. This was done, for instance, at the meeting of Sergei Lavrov with Mike Pompeo on 27 September. We were promised that the situation would be looked into and were assured that there was no ill will behind the actions of the U.S. authorities. Instead, certain technical issues were blamed. At the same time, we also drew the UN Secretariat's attention to the unacceptable nature of such gross violations by the United States of their obligations. Yesterday, our representative touched upon this in great detail with the Committee on Relations with the Host Country. Today, I am forced to state that unfortunately the American side has once again demonstrated extreme disrespect and disregard for their obligations and towards us, as well as everyone present in this room. Due to a lack of visas to enable the participation of our experts, the Russian delegation has once again been put into a position that does not allow us to take full-fledged participation in the work of the First Committee. I would like to once again recall that in accordance with the provisions of the 1947 Agreement on UN headquarters, the United States are obligated to ensure unimpeded access to headquarters of the United Nations to all official representatives of member states without exception, and to issue visas to those representatives free of charge and in the shortest possible timeframes. The right to host UN headquarters is a privilege that was granted to the United States in exchange for the above-mentioned assurances and guarantees. Washington has no basis for unilaterally blocking the participation of representatives of member states of the UN in events conducted under its auspices, and especially to decide for them who should or should not be part or head a national delegation. We do not intend to accept such practices or abide by them. We will not stand down from our lawful rights, our right to determine the composition of our delegation here at the United Nations. I would therefore like to officially request the Secretariat of the United Nations to present to the First Committee a report on the measures it has undertaken since November 2018 in order to unblock the access of Russian Federation delegates to the headquarters in order to participate in UN disarmament events and meetings. While the visa issue remains unresolved, we propose taking a technical or procedural break in order to address that and settle that issue as soon as possible. As soon as visas have been issued to every member of our delegation without exception, we are prepared to resume the official session. Until the United States complies with its obligations to the United Nations in terms of ensuring that all members, official representatives of UN member states are able to participate in its work, we propose moving to a regime and mode of informal consultations. At the same time, we also ask the Secretariat and the Bureau to undertake effective measures in order to put an end to this practice where one member state brazenly blocks the work of the First Committee and the delegations of other member states. Distinguished colleagues, to conclude, I would like to underscore, and I think you will agree with me here, that what is in play here is not just a series of coincidences. Rather, it is an intentional and brazen non-compliance by the U.S. with its obligations. In this context, and in order not to deprive all of us of the opportunity to carry on a substantive dialogue on the most important issues relating to disarmament and international security, we unfortunately only have one option before us. In order to normalize the work of the First Committee, we believe that there is a need to consider holding the relevant sessions in 2020 outside of the territory of the United States, for instance, in Vienna or in Geneva. We are prepared to hold a substantive discussion on this matter during the current session of the General Assembly. Thank you for your attention.
I thank the distinguished representative of the Russian Federation for his statement.